Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, my name is Shawn Runke. I'm the library director here at the Peru Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you to our fourth Mayoral Forum here at the Public Library. This one is obviously a little different because it's not in front of a live audience, studio audience, as you might say. But our candidates and our moderator are all more than 6 feet apart, so they can be unmasked for clarity with questions and that. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Laurie Bergner.
Welcome, everyone. I am from the League of Women Voters of McLean County down in Bloomington Normal. And just to remind you that the League is a nonpartisan organization, which means we don't support or oppose individual candidates or political parties. What we do really encourage is having informed voters. So I appreciate everyone who is attending today so that you can get really informed about what the two candidates stand for and who they are. So I'd like to introduce Mayor Scott Harrell and Mr. Ken Kolowski. Those are the two people running for mayor. And we're going to start with introductory comments from both of them. And the coin toss was won by Mayor Harrell, so he will begin.
We ready? We live and ready to go? Okay, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. First of all, I will thank the League of Women Voters, the Peru Public Library and staff, and thank you to today's moderator, Laurie, and to my opponent for attending to make this forum possible in these unprecedented times. I am Scott J. Harrell, and I am seeking re-election for Peru Mayor. I have been a Peru resident for 47 years. My wife, Barbara, and I will be celebrating our 46th anniversary this April. We have two beautiful daughters and two great son-in-laws, and we're blessed with 4 wonderful grandchildren. Peru is our home, and where our children were raised. Our Peru roots run deep, back to our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. I have served as mayor of this great city since 2009. In this day, politics is taking on a new face, new challenges. The pandemic, social media, the inability to meet in person. Zoom meetings have become the new norm to conduct city business in a safe manner for employees and visitors. We have adjusted to rules and regulations and dealt with the pandemic head on, making our workplace a safe environment. We know how small businesses in town have suffered, as well as many of the residents, teachers, students, doctors, nurses, and all healthcare workers. Our thoughts turn to the families who have lost loved ones to this virus. This pandemic has literally touched all facets of life as we know it. Once again, we thank our healthcare providers, essential workers, and those who have truly made a difference. I thank our fantastic city workforce for all they do and to keep the city running smoothly in these uncharted times, which we pray we never see again. Peru organized a COVID relief fund for those in need. We did everything we could to help the restaurants and accommodated their requests by closing streets for outdoor dining and forgoing the liquor license fees. With the public being vaccinated and the cases numbers on decline, we look for a brighter light in our future. However, we must still be vigilant and practice the 3 W's. Watch your distance, wash your hands, and please wear a mask. It's so easy. The job of mayor is a high-profile position which requires interaction with government officials, city employees, members of the community. The mayor is involved in the day-to-day operations of a $54 million municipality. Peru is a big business. I serve as an official representative of our city, attending events, both local and out of the area. Other duties involve presiding over council meetings, appointing and overseeing staff members, establish city goals and objectives, create advisory boards, reviewing and approving annual budgets. In addition, there are many ceremonies and public events to attend. I must take a few moments to enlighten you on our fiscal responsibility in the city's financial status. Bottom line, I am proud to say that the city is in great financial shape. The numbers speak for themselves, as does Moody's Investor Service. Moody's Investor Services has assigned Peru with a AA3 rating. The AA3 rating reflects the city's solid financial reserve position, and during my tenure as mayor, we have been continually upgraded from A3 to A1, and now, as previously mentioned, AA3. Our budget operates in the black, and while providing the best of services and amenities for our Peru residents. I believe my accomplishments speak for themselves. With my qualifications and experience, Peru will continue to move in the right direction. Together, with your support, we can keep Peru moving in the right direction. Thank you, and I look forward to this forum.
Mr. Kolowski.
My name is Ken Kolowski. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the library for putting this event today. I'll be married 20 years this year to my wife, Michelle. I have 3 children, two daughters, Alex and Macy, and my son, Connor. This forum today is kind of difficult for me. I'm not good at this. My dad taught me a long time ago that you pull people up in life. You don't push them over. And this isn't personal. I mean, there's a misconception out here that this is personal. It's not. It's just about policies. I'll be going over things that I believe we should be doing. I will go in, and basically what this is the difference between Scott and myself. That's all. What he's been doing, what he hasn't been doing, and why now, okay? I'm not a politician. I'm just like you. I don't make campaign promises. I make campaign outlooks. A few of my campaign outlooks are pretty simple. Some of them are difficult. Some of them are very, very easy. We have to spend money more wisely. There's a lot of wasteful spending in Peru. I'm proposing a $500,000 increase in above ground infrastructure into our streets. It's a difficult task, but I believe it can be done. We have to support our small businesses a little bit better. We have to help them out. I want to make City Hall a welcoming place. I want people to come to council meetings. I want them to be able to ask questions and get them answered. That's very important to me. Bring back volunteerism into the Illinois Valley. I hope one of the questions today addresses the swimming pool. I will be seriously pursuing bringing back a community swimming pool. It's not so much about swimming, it's about memories. And a lot of memories are being just stolen because we don't have this facility for our community. I want to add more events and festivals to the community. We have to boost the morale of our citizens and our employees. Our downtown, it just needs to be taken care of better, that's all. We got an 8-block span, we have no benches. We have 1 bench in the entire thing. LaSalle has numbers of benches and they're all donated by people. It looks fantastic. I want to improve park maintenance. Park maintenance is a living, breathing thing, always changing, always developing. You got to stay on top of it. Another outlook I have is we have to improve our social media use, whether that's promoting our city, promoting our small businesses, and using communication. We shouldn't have to dig for information. We can use social media to keep you informed, keep you updated of what we're doing, the ins and outs of our town. Again, this is not an easy thing for me today. I'm a little bit nervous about it. With that, I think we can go ahead and start the questions, if that's okay.
Okay, we're going to have each person go back and forth between who starts. So Mr. Kolowski is going to have the first question. Some people would like to have a public pool in Peru. What is your position on building a pool? And how would you pay for it if you do go ahead with plans to build it?
The pool was ripped out of the ground about a decade ago. I'm a big, strong advocate of the pool. Here's why. It's not so much about swimming. It's more about the memories. I mean, I personally grew up in this pool. The memories are long, being with your friends, getting families together, community together. It's neat. It's time. And part of the problem is back in 2013, we put it on an advisory vote to bring back the pool. And of course, it went down because of the taxes and nobody was really interested in it. We just did a $22,000 pool study. I looked it over. It didn't go anywhere. We're still in a position where we're not even close to putting this back together. Time is starting to get away from us a little bit. That if we don't do it soon, I mean, 2013 it was a $2-3 million pool. Now we're looking at about a $4 or $5 million pool. If we don't do this now, 8-7 years from now, it's going to be an $8 million pool, and we're not going to be able to afford it. And as to pay for it, it can be taken from, we can just add to our general fund, and that'd be the way to pay for it. And that's my intake, or my position on the pool. It's a must to our community.
Okay, and just to clarify, each candidate has 2 minutes initially to answer, and then each of them has another 1 minute to rebut each other's responses. So Mayor Harrell.
Okay, the pool subject comes up because the pool was closed my first year in office. I was elected in 2009, and in 2009, we had $135,000 in operating costs and $17,000 in receipt. What was right before 2009? The 2008 recession, which was the great recession that we've never seen one like it, other than the depression back in the 30s. The pool was a structure that was built 57, 60 years, something like that, previous to 2010. And it was the structure that was losing 70,000 gallons of water a day. The pool was right across the street from the location of this library. You couldn't drive in the park with heavy equipment because the ground was so saturated with the water that was leaking out. The water was, there's a ravine to our right as we sit here today, where there was chlorinated water coming from the pool running out into the ravine. So something had to be done, and it was a vessel and a structure that was no longer viable. We have done a pool study, we have all the numbers, and we don't have a way to fund it right now. Just to add to your general fund, it doesn't work that way. We need a way to fund it a sustainable way, and we'll have to move on from there. Are we interested in it? Absolutely. Are we against it? Absolutely not. We would love to see a pool in Peru. It's an amenity that we would love to see. We just put up a $2 million splash pad that we were able to fund that, cash flowing it, so we have no debt on it, and we were able to let our residents and any visitors come in and use the splash pad for free. We would love to see a pool with that situation. It's just not there at this time. So pool, absolutely yes. When? I can't say that at this time.
Mr. Kolowski, do you have something to rebut?
Yes, as for the money aspect of it, okay, we have a electrical fund that you can only use electrical funds for that specific department. But what you can do, and we do, is we put a franchise fee on our electrical fund, and we transfer that into our general fund, okay? Over the last 9 years, or 10 years now, we averaged that going up by about $37,000 a year, okay, on an average. That we take more money out, we put it in the general fund, and we use it for areas that we need. This past year, we raised it by $676,000. So the money is there. We just have to raise the franchise fee off to the utility fund, and that creates the way to pay for the pool, and that without raising taxes. And it's because it's been done. We went from $37,000 a year on this franchise fee. In 1 year, we went up to $676,000. So the money is there.
Mayor Harrell?
Well, I would differ with that theory, but we're not going to go into a complete financial report over this. We do have the pool. 3 pools came in, one at 4,900, one at 4.9 million, 5.1 million, and 5.8 million. And the study shows that they're saying that we can probably pull 33 to 36,000 people in to help pay for the pool. So if we charge the pool attendees $3.50, we're only gonna be repaying the cost of the pool operating cost at 50%. The debt on the pool and the operating costs, you're talking $500,000 a year. Where are you going to take $500,000 a year out of? We have a positive budget, but we run tight on the budget. Where does that $500,000 come from? It's not quite as easy as what the candidate is saying. It just isn't.
Okay, next question. How important do you think it is to attract new businesses to Peru? And what type of economic incentives would you consider implementing to attract them? This would be Mayor Hart.
Okay, new businesses in Peru. We are constantly seeking out new business in Peru. We go to the trade shows, which we've had a vacation from trade shows for the last year due to the pandemic. We work very hard. We have a person on staff as a economic development person. We have an analytical company that we have hired. We're going to go into the 4th year now, that they are able to give us the numbers and tell us where the people come from, how many people come, and what they spend while they're in town. When you sit down with the developers on a national level, you have to have answers for them in the first 10 to 15 seconds. If you don't, it's all over. You're just another person in front of them, and it's time for you to get up and go, because if you don't have their attention in 10 to 15 seconds, it's not there. We work very hard at it. It's an extremely competitive business to try and attract developers in business to town, whether it be industrial, commercial, retail. It's a very difficult thing to do. Every town is trying to do the same thing. As far as incentives, since I've been in the mayor's office, the incentives across the nation have grown and grown and grown, and it's extremely difficult to keep up with some of the incentives that some of the cities are offering. Everybody that's on the council, they're well aware, because of the talks that we have on what the developers are asking for, what they want, and the bar keeps on raising and raising and raising. It's difficult and becoming more difficult as time goes on.
Mr. Kolowski.
I agree, it's getting more and more difficult, but the challenge is, it's the internet, it's Amazon, it's Wayfair. That's where we're losing things. I'll touch on the mall a little bit. Just a year and a half ago, we had 22 stores in the mall. We're down to 11. It's the internet it's making it harder to bring retail into here, okay? Second problem is, I'll be honest, it's Illinois. We're losing people and businesses like crazy in our state. 79,000 people left Illinois last year. It's very difficult. Attract more small businesses. I look to LaSalle, what they've done. There isn't one small business in LaSalle that couldn't have been here. Not one. The mall, they all could have been in there. LaSalle's done a fantastic job of luring these small businesses in here. Retail is very, very tricky. And a lot of people don't look LaSalle, or I'm sorry, I got 60 seconds. Promote the businesses better, encourage small businesses to come. As for the large businesses, you have to sell it differently. The first thing they're going to ask, like Mr. Harrell just said, what's your population? That's the first thing they want to know. And once you say 10,000, they're done with you. Like he said, in 10 seconds, sell it differently. Tell them we have a grocery store that's top in their district. We have an Applebee's that is top in their district. Steak and Shake. It's one of the best steak and shakes in their division. That's how you sell to especially the bigger businesses such as Chuck E. Cheese, Portillo's, things like that. Show them what we have. Show them the numbers a little bit better. That's how I would go about it.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Do I have a minute?
Yep, a minute.
I'll expand on.
Oh, he's a buffoon. He's making a fucking buffoon out of
Oh,
himself.
really?
First,
Restaurant, I won't say the name, but a restaurant chain, a large chain. Yeah. And the guy said, what's your tax dollars for food? 45 million. Food was 45 million. He says, okay, he says, conversation's over. Why is that? If you said 60, he said we would talk. If you said 45, which you did, there's no reason for us to talk anymore. So then we went into, how about a smaller store, a smaller place? And he says, no, he said, it's all about square foot. Square foot brings in chairs. You can fit more chairs with more square foot. And if you don't have the chairs, you don't have the money, and it doesn't make sense if you don't make money. So no, we don't want to talk about it. So it's not as simple as what some people want it to be. I wish it was, but it's not. It's difficult out there. And every town along Interstate 80 is doing the exact same thing. They're vying for that business.
Mr. Kolowski?
A lot of people, again, it's how you sell your community, how you sell your town. You know, when you sit down with people like that, you tell them, Peru makes up about just under 9% of the population in LaSalle County. But yet we generate 37% of the retail sales in our community. $630 million. Like you said, restaurants, $46 million in restaurant food and dining. $131 million in general merchandise. Our car dealers do about $137 million in sales. That's how you can promote, because when they see those kind of numbers, they're going to want a piece of that. And that's the way I would approach it.
Okay, next question goes to Mr. Kolowski first. How do you rate the importance of improving infrastructure and increasing community events, those two issues?
Community events are a big factor. And one of the things I'm running on is we need more community events. We have fallen off. We used to be the leader of the Illinois Valley with the taste, with carnivals, with events like that. You got to bring your community together. It's good for the spirit of your community. We're heading back now into a better direction now over the last 2 years. The taste is coming back. There is some momentum. There's music in the park now. There is some momentum of bringing these things back. But the question is, why haven't we been doing this all for the last decade? That's the issue. The second part of the question was infrastructure, I believe.
Yes.
Infrastructure. I'll be honest, we do a really good job with infrastructure in Peru. We have an excellent engineering staff. We do our sewer separation that's mandated by the state. The one thing is, everybody complains, and it's everywhere. I'm not saying that the mayor doesn't address it. Everybody wants to do street. Everybody wants to do sidewalk. I'm proposing $500,000, which will be difficult. We're working with the council and the finance department. I think we can put a little bit more energy and time into our streets. But infrastructure has to stay at the level it is, if not even add to it.
Mayor Hurd.
Okay, I'll start with the infrastructure. The infrastructure, Peru does a fantastic job with it. There is no town our size or quite larger than our size that does as much as we do for our infrastructure. We have been in the sewer separation ever since I came into office, and yes, Mr. Kolowski is correct. That is a mandate, but find a city that's doing it. Show me one. Find one that's doing it. Peru is doing it. When I first took office, when we had heavy rains, you used to shudder because you knew the phones in City Hall would be ringing nonstop. You knew your phone at home would be ringing nonstop because of the areas in town that flooded every time we had a heavy rain. Now, there's virtually no calls, none for flooded basements. Community events, we did start this year, and I can't answer where the gap was. I don't know. We're set up different now than we were before, and we have more people in place. As most may know or not, when I first took office, we offered an early retirement incentive, and we went from 82 employees down to 70 employees, and we didn't hire those back. It's the only way you could make ends meet back in 2009 after the Great Recession. Money just wasn't there. So like I said, you were operating on less. You had to do with what you had to do with, meaning you didn't have the people to do some of these things. Some of the parks, our parks are in great shape. Our parks are beautiful, and they're getting better all the time. Now the festival is back, and we'll be having a donated band show where we'll be having even more band concerts throughout the summer. And there's there's plenty of activities going on. Like I mentioned before, you have a splash pad that's free to anyone and everyone. We've had people from Venezuela visit our splash pad. So I don't go along with saying that Peru doesn't do anything. We have the TPM Avenger event that attracts 15,000 people, and my time's over. I wish I had more time on this.
Well, you'll have another minute to rebut if you want it. Mr.
Again, as for, he's saying that we don't have the time, that's where volunteerism comes back in. Look what LaSalle has been doing. They don't have the resources and the money that we have, and they have constant things going on. They'll have fireworks twice a year. They'll have their Blues Fest. They'll have carnivals, okay? These are assets. Carnivals can actually make a city money. I've talked to the one in Indiana, and it's amazing what you can get. And they'll come here, make money. We make money. It's great for the community. Well, that's why we've stepped up now. Everybody sees it. We are going in a better direction now over the last 2 years. The last 10, you go somewhere else for your entertainment. Even lab days, people go out there rather than come to Peru. And I think it's important. It's important to the morale. It's important to see your friends and families and get to go. I took my kids to all the tastes of the Illinois Valleys. I miss it. I miss it a lot. And I think it's important that we bring these things back.
Mayor Forum.
Okay, I would have one question for Mr. Kolowski. You talk about the volunteerism. We asked for volunteers for our Parks and Recreation Board 2 times in the last 2 years. And in the last 2 years since you've been campaigning, you never put your hat in the ring to be on the board. Why is that? We're not here for a debate. We're here for the forum. But what I'm saying is there was an opportunity for volunteerism. The last 2 times for our Parks and Recreation Board, I had to go out and seek because nobody put their name in to volunteer. So I had to go out and seek and ask other board members on who they thought would be a good board member and who they could work with for the good of Peru. For somebody to say that we don't ask for volunteers, why weren't you there when we did ask?
Okay, next question goes to Mayor Harrell first. There's some concern about taxes going up, and some people would like to see them go down. What is your position on taxes for the future? Do you think they can be lowered? And if so, what services would you decrease in order to lower them? Do you expect them to increase? How much might they increase? And what would the citizens of Peru get for that increase?
I've got to be honest here. The other candidate in this race, he's been walking the towns and standing on porches telling people that we're going to be raising their taxes for a roundabout that we built, telling them that we're going to be raising your taxes for the new police facility that we're currently building. And that's just totally untrue. Our property taxes are the lowest property taxes in LaSalle County. Our combined property taxes, because it includes fire, are the lowest in LaSalle County. LaSalle County is the 2nd largest county in the state of Illinois. We're the lowest in LaSalle County. Utica does a very good job with their taxes, but when you talk combined, we're the lowest. Your tax bill, if you go on your tax bill and you look at City of Peru, there's one line item, it's less than 4 cents of your tax bill. Every dollar on your tax bill, it's less than 4 cents. And of that less than 4 cents goes 100% to our police and fire pensions. Our police and fire pensions, the police is somewhere in the neighborhood of $670,000. The fire is $85,000, something like that on your tax bill. And then we, out of the general fund, which I'm hearing that we have plenty of money in the general fund to pay for a pool, we put over $1 million added on to that $670,000 for our police pension. You're still not able to gain ground on that. We're working on that very diligently. But the taxes, everything that we're doing, we have a good handle on it. We have less debt now, 40% less debt now than we did when I took office 12 years ago. Of the debt we do have, because of our fantastic bond rating, it's less interest. So we're paying less for the debt service than we were paying 10 years ago than what we're paying right now. Cities, as I said in my opening, cities in great financial shape, and we are saving money for the future with reserve funds, with reserve for your general fund, reserve for your utility fund. My time's up.
Okay. Mr. Kolowski.
I haven't been actually going door to door telling people we're raising taxes across the board. I do tell people I'm concerned about the spending. I am concerned about the 4 projects that we've done recently that are going to be touching around $30 million. He brought up what our taxes go toward. They go toward our pensions. He's absolutely right. From the property taxes, about 600,000. Last year was 850,000 from the general fund. $1 million is going into it this year to try to get ahead of it. It is one of the biggest problems we have right now. By far, the pension problem in Peru and in the state. The state just announced $300 billion in pension debt. We have the same problem. We've actually gone backwards now. Now that, again, I'm not in the chair and I don't have exact numbers, but we were at maybe 47% vested in the police pension problem, or pension. I think we're down to 44 and 43. We've gone the wrong way. If that's the one revenue source is toward the pensions and it's our biggest problem, taxes is the way that we're funding it, and it's our biggest problem. To keep the taxes the same would be great. But again, I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to say I'm going to be raising taxes or anything. But the pension problem is it's like a credit card. You got it fully maxed, and you're only paying the minimum. You're never going to get ahead of it. And we're chasing this thing, but the entire state is chasing it also. So I would say, no, we don't want to raise taxes, but the pension problem has to be attacked better with other revenues rather than your property taxes.
Okay, you each have 1 minute, and if you could also, both of you, say, do you expect taxes or want them to go up, down, or stay the same? What are you expecting or working toward?
I would like to see no taxes. We are paying for our police pension and our fire pension off of the taxes once again, which is less than 4 cents of your tax bill for every dollar that's on your tax bill. As far as the police pension, they changed the number. It's such a moving target. You can't keep up with it. You can't. You know, the numbers change overnight because they change whatever it is they decide to change at the Illinois Board of Insurance. The Illinois Board of Insurance gives you a figure every year. This past year was $800 and some thousand that you had to pay into your police pension. We paid $1.7 million. That fund paid out $985,000 for the police that are retired. We have 23 policemen that are collecting pensions currently, and we paid in $800,000 more than what was paid out. I don't know why the number goes down. It doesn't make sense, but there's many things that don't make sense, and that's one of them.
Just to clarify, when you say you'd like to see no taxes, you mean no increase in taxes?
No, I would love to see it, and I brought it up to the council before. I would like to see, my goal is that when you have your bill, there's not even a line that says City of Peru on it. It's gone. You know, I'm on the municipal league, and I envy some of the mayors on the municipal league because their towns, there's no tax. So that's your goal. Everything takes time.
Okay, Mr. Kolowski.
I don't believe that's realistic. It's a great goal to set, but to take the line out completely when that is the one thing that's mostly paying for your pensions. Okay. Thing too with the pensions, I'd like to mention, we just had some significant raises through Peru, and that's fine. Our police got nice raises, great new contract. That's terrific. But you have to worry about the back end of the pensions. Okay. He mentioned the police station that we're raising taxes. When we did the groundbreaking for the police station, he said no new taxes, and that's great. But I think the follow-up is, how are we paying for it? Where is the money coming for the police station? That's the question now. You can't raise taxes, great. You should be applauded for that. But how do you build a $20 million facility without telling us how you're paying for it? That's the question.
Well, a follow-up question then, this would be for you, Mr. Kolowski. If you're wanting to have a goal of no taxes in the future, which I guess is not necessarily your goal anyway, Mr. Kolowski, but what services then, or how would you get to that point? What would it mean for the city of Peru to get to that point?
I never said we take the tax line out. The goal, to me, a realistic goal, is to keep them the same. Again, I'm not a politician. I just don't see how it's not going to increase somewhat because of the pension problem we have in the state. Again, the state is working on it. They've combined these pensions now to consolidate it. And I've talked to finance people that says, if this system works and it's done right, it should alleviate some of the problem. But when you pick up the newspaper and it says we're over $300 billion in debt in pension problems, I don't see the taxes going away, and I would do my best to keep them where they are. But to be honest, I don't see how we're going to be able to maintain and pay for this pension without some kind of a tax increase. But again, I'm not a politician. I should never say I'm raising taxes, but that's just the way I see it, just being honest.
Okay, Mayor Hall?
Everyone has a goal of no taxes, and I think in the direction we're going in Peru, and as I said before, our debt in the last 10 years has gone down 40%, and that's even with the added debt that we took on with the new police facility. It's still gone down 40%. You know, one of my goals when I took office was when you were done, either you ran for election and didn't win, or you didn't run for another election. When I was done, my goal was to hopefully be as close to zero debt as possible. But you needed a new police public safety facility. It's what the experts told us. In the facility that they're currently in 1967, they've outgrown it, and you've seen it now with the pandemic that we're in. It's not a good environment for police to be working in, and we're fixing that. And it's a beautiful new police station. And once again, we're not raising taxes for it. We're doing it with retired debt and moving on from there.
Okay, let's go on to another question. This one will go first to Mayor Hall. How do you think the pandemic has been handled so far, and how should it be handled going forward? And let me continue with the question. So this came from the public. Many businesses in Peru are not complying with simple CDC guidelines such as wearing masks and social distancing. Would you require that Peru businesses require their employees to make masks? And would you create a city COVID mandate?
All of the rules that came down are executive orders from the governor. One place that I think he's done a fantastic job with what he's done. What I don't agree with is that he didn't bring General Assembly and pass legislation so there's law. It put municipalities in a very difficult position because we had no law. It wasn't like if you ran a stoplight, you broke the law. If you ran a stop sign, you broke the law. If you take something you don't pay for from a store, you broke the law. It wasn't there. It was the governor's orders. But here's what happened. You had attorneys that jumped into the ball game and told everybody, you don't have to do that because it's not a law. Which, okay, that part's right. Every court that once it went to appellate court, every court said that the governor's orders were correct and they do stand. But once again, it puts the municipality in a very difficult spot to try and police it. What are you policing? You don't have a law to police. I asked the restaurant owners to comply the best they can. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But you didn't have a law, and the last thing that I wanted to do was to lower the boom on it and have a legal issue with these restaurants that are already wondering if they're going to make another payment, so they're still going to have the building to run their business out of. And then you're going to have a legal bill because you have some attorney that's telling you, you don't have to do that, send me a retainer of $3,000, and then we file charges against this company. And he says, okay, you can hire me by the hour for whatever the hourly charge was, and I'll come up and sit in on the trial. And guess what? He lost them all. But what did it do? The small businesses, they paid money that they didn't have to fight it. So our businesses did a good job. Some didn't follow it 100%, but we're good. My time's over.
Okay, Mr. Kolowski.
The thing with the pandemic, and I made a conscious effort to make sure I would not use the pandemic for political gain. Have we made mistakes? Absolutely. Have we, I would think the mayor would admit he could have done a lot of things differently. But the bottom line is, there was no playbook for this thing. He was going by everybody else. And I don't think it's fair to point fingers at anybody with this, and especially the mayor. It was a day-to-day living, breathing, changing thing, okay? But when the rules do come down, we have to enforce them. This pandemic was devastating. It wasn't meant to hurt small businesses, but it did. If we knew places weren't going by the rules, we should at least attempted to say, we need to go by these rules. You can't have this many people, or you know, whatever the mandate was by the governor and by the federal government, you had to go by those guidelines. Again, you know, I watched this for the entire year, and the mayor did the best he could, and I give him credit. Like, as again, he would sit here probably today and say, I wish I would have done this differently, but there was no playbook, and we all in this together. You know, he started his opening thing with, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands. Keep reminding them people that. We could do a better job of telling where people to get the vaccinations. That could be something moving forward that we could be doing, using social media. So, but that'd be my answer to that.
Mayor Hurl?
Once again, there was no set rules. There was no black and white. And with that, the businesses, they were in a tough spot, as was local government. You did the best you could to keep them informed, and they already knew. You know, when you talked with them, they already knew. And then what are you going to do as mayor? You're also liquor commissioner. Are you going to pull their liquor license and then not give it back once things pass? What are you going to do for these people? Once again, then you're going to have that are empty. They're no longer in business because they can't make ends meet. We didn't charge for our liquor license last year, and I've asked the council already to consider it, so we won't charge again this year. It's about a $30,000, deficit that we won't be bringing in for revenue, but it's more needed in the pockets of our local restaurant owners.
Mr. Kolowski?
You know, this is what I talked about at the beginning. This is difficult for me. I don't like pushing people down, and I've seen the rhetoric that the mayor took on social media. I've seen and heard the comments that were being said. It was wrong, and he did the best he could. And I mean, we're all in this together, and I'm going to agree with him. I don't want to shut down a business. I don't want to penalize them for something we had nothing to control. We're still fighting it. We're still in this thing together. The numbers are getting better every day, and we keep getting vaccinated. Things are looking a lot better. But I just want to defend the mayor by saying he did the best he could. And for all the people sitting out there and Monday morning quarterbacking his decisions over the past year, it's just not right. I mean, we're all in this together. Council, everybody. I know they were having meetings on what they could do to help these businesses and help us stay safe. So I just want to say that, and I appreciate his efforts over the last year.
And this one will go to you, Mr. Kolowski, to start. The Illinois Valley loses many talented youth. How can Peru invite, nurture, and engage youth talent that would otherwise leave? How can it attract them back after college?
Comes down to childhood. You want, my daughter, 27 years old, she's left. She's up in Chicago now, and she's left. The youth, I stayed. I'm 56 years old, and I stayed my entire life. Yeah, I could have moved on, made more money in other places. I love my town. I love it here because of the memories. That's where the swimming pool comes into play. The festivals come into play. The baseball games, the softball games. You have to have an exciting childhood to stay with your community. Education. That's what's frustrating about that is we have one of the best schools. We have 4 schools in Peru. They do a phenomenal job. We have one of the best school systems anywhere. And the youth is still leaving, whether it be opportunity or whether it be for more money. I don't have the studies to show that. But if you have a wonderful childhood, I believe that helps you motivate you to become a doctor, lawyer, politician, run for public office, get involved with the things we're talking about, volunteerism. You know, that's what happened to me. My childhood, my teen years, my high school days, that's why I stayed. And I think that's an important part of a community like ours.
Mayor Hall.
That is a difficult one. You know, I'll look at it, I'll give a personal story. And the personal story is our first daughter, when she graduated LP High School here in town, she went to Drake University. She wanted to be a pharmacist and then decided she didn't want to do pharmacy. So she received her bachelor's at Drake and then went down to U of I. And then when you come out of U of I with your master's in chemistry, then the world is open for you. U of I does a fantastic job of placing their students, fantastic. And the world was open to her and she was gone. Our second daughter, she was more of a homebody and she stayed home and went to our Illinois Valley Community College over in Oglesby. And that's a great facility. It really is. I have credit hours there. And it's just a fantastic facility and they run a great ship over there. And then when she graduated with her associate's degree out of IVCC, she went to U of I and came out as a chemical engineer and the world gathered her up and she was gone. You need more business. You need jobs that are good paying jobs. You need, you know, you go to the Schaumburgs of the world, the Napervilles of the world, and that's, I'm in awe of those places. Could you ever build it up out as far as we are? I don't know, but that's where it comes from. The higher paying and the jobs, the more educated jobs that they bring people in. Like I say, when they're recruiting people from these major colleges. We don't have one of those in the area. We have plenty of jobs. Everybody's hiring. There's plenty of jobs out there, but some want to go as soon as they leave high school and some want to stay home. So we're kind of staying even right now, population wise.
Mr. Kolowski. And by the way, you don't have to use your 1 minute rebuttal. If you're done, you can say that and that's fine. We can move on. So.
Okay, we can move on.
Okay.
Again, sometimes I agree with them.
Yeah.
Again, this is about team. This is, again, I'm not making, this isn't personal with Scott and I. This is, he wants the best for Peru and so do I. We just have a different way of looking at things. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So this one will go to Mayor Harrell first. Peru's comprehensive plan is over 50 years old. It has been generations since Peru's citizens have given participatory input on the city's overall future, goals, policy, land use, economic development, and key capital improvements. What are your views on initiating an update to the comprehensive plan?
We've talked about it, myself and council members, we've talked about it. And if you look at that comprehensive plan that this whoever submitted this, there's many things that you haven't achieved. In that comprehensive plan, they're saying that we would be at a population of 50,000 plus right now. Well, that didn't happen. In the 90s, in our downtown area, Mayor Donald Baker and the council, they took on a rebuilding of downtown and they did a fantastic job. And that wasn't a complete comprehensive plan, but it was a rebuilding of the downtown area. The goals haven't been met for the comprehensive plan that were there 60 years ago, 50 years ago. And with that comprehensive plan, you created your zoning. So the whole city is zoned for what you want and where you want it, for your industry, for your commercial, for your retail. So the whole city is zoned. It's just finding the people in the business to come in there and fill those spots. And we're working on it all the time. This past year, I'll have to say this past year has been difficult because we had many projects going on, some nice projects, and with the pandemic, everything stopped. The phone, the only phone conversations you were able to have was how bad is it where you are, and it was just very difficult. But I will say this, that just in the past couple of weeks, the phone is starting to light up again, and people are starting to wake up out there. It's like the it's like the trees budding. Everything's starting to come to life again, and look for good things to happen. We've talked to a few developers that have said, we think that 21 will be a pretty good year. All things considered, we think it will be a pretty good year. So we'll see. We'll move on from there. But the comprehensive plan, we couldn't see putting in another $50 to $60 to $70,000 because you still have a plan in front of you that some of the goals aren't met.
Okay, Mr. Kolowski?
You're talking about big picture and to improve the quality and the look of our city. Is that accurate? Is the way I understand the question? I believe you don't necessarily have to grow and have new. You can grow from within. Make what you have stronger. Make the buildings that you have better upkeep. Take care of them. Clean things up. That's how you can grow. And that's how you can make your city look better, make it more presentable. Like you said, it's a difficult thing. Our population has gone down. It's a difficult thing. The internet has completely devastated local retail. Malls across the country are just literally closing their doors.
Let me interrupt for 1 second. I'm assuming from this question that there is a comprehensive plan, which sounds like maybe the citizens don't know what it is. I don't know. So it hasn't been updated, hasn't been worked on with citizen input since it was created 50 years ago, right? That's what I'm understanding from the question.
I would probably agree with that.
Yeah. So the question is whether you think there ought to be another opportunity for citizens to participate in creating an updated plan.
We're always looking for input. I believe in the more people you get involved with decision making, the better chances you getting it right. An idea can come from anywhere, and you bring your community together. Your councilman. There's a lot of smart people in this town. When I go door to door and I'm talking to people, they have amazing ideas. Now some of them are, oh yeah, we could spend millions of dollars on this or that, but you can grow from within. Okay, you don't necessarily have to grow by having a new business come in. Yeah, it'd be great to have a Chick-fil-A come to our community. That'd be terrific. But then there's balance. With that, you're going to hurt other restaurants because they're eating there. It's a delicate balance. Help grow what you have. There's a lot of businesses that started here that were now one of our biggest employers in town. We started with Hy-Vee with 130 employees. There are over 400 employees now. That's how you can grow. Build it, make it grow, and help it.
Anything else you'd like to say?
Back to the comprehensive plan, like they said, we have zoning in place, which, at the time that was done, there wasn't much north of Shooting Park Road. It was cornfields. So much of it has been done with the new infrastructure that we're putting in place. If you go up Peoria Street and you go up across Shooting Park Road now with the new infrastructure that we're putting in place and where the new public safety facility is being built, some of those were on the plan 30, 40 years ago. The road structure and there's drawings 30, 40 years ago. We did change a few things and shape it to the 2021, mold instead of 1960s and 1970s. But the road infrastructure, that's why Midtown Road, when Midtown Road was put in, because they did have the foresight at that time. Midtown Road, that's going to be the middle of Peru, because north of Interstate 80, we have a large contingency of business up there. And Midtown Road is the old downtown, and it came to fruition now with the facility that we're building up there.
Mr. Kolowski.
We can move on.
Okay. Okay, so this next one is for you, Mr. Kolowski. So there are rumors of wind farms approaching Peru, perhaps as close as the edge of the river valley. What are your views on wind farms within inside of the city?
Whew, I don't know if I was ready for that question. That's an interesting question. To be honest with you, I'm not educated on something like that. If a proposal like that were to come to Peru, it would have to be discussed with engineering, the state, the federal people, energy, any kind of energy that we can do to save people money or improve our quality of life, I would absolutely look at. I do know up the northern end of Mendota, there's a lot of wind farm up there. But again, this is an area that I'm being completely honest. I'm not that well educated on it. And I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to just try to tell you that I'm for it or against it. But if something like that were to come along, you absolutely have to look at it. But you have to look at pros and cons in the situation. And what does the community want? If there's an overwhelming amount of people that said we don't want this, then you have to listen to the public.
There, Bob.
Okay, wind farms, they're everywhere now. They're not going to replace your power plants. And we see that from what happened down in Texas a month ago. Wind farms are the Public Works Electric Department superintendent before I was mayor. He was talking about them. So I'm talking back in the early 2000s when they started to become popular and more of them being built. When I took office, there was some grant money available, and we put up a test tower north of town off of 251 and around 34th Road, something like that, 33rd Road. And we had a test tower up there that was up there for roughly a year. And we ran into trouble in our area because of a certain species of bats. And we were told by the bat experts that those bats never come north of the Illinois River. Well, they found 2 or 3 or a half a dozen of those bats up in that area, and we were not eligible to put in a wind tower. So those talks to wind tower, unless there's something that I haven't heard anything about, and that would be in the private industry. But I know quite a few people in the private industry that are involved with wind. The city of Peru has nothing going on with wind power, nothing at all, not at this time. That happened about 8 years ago.
Want to move on, or
We can move on.
same for you? Mayor Hall, move on also?
Yes.
Okay, so this is for Mayor Hall first. Should the Peru Township be eliminated? The voters voted to eliminate it, but nothing has been done.
The township government, in some places, it is very much needed in rural areas. In some places, there's an overlapping of government. With the Peru Township, you have some overlap with because much of it's in town, within the city boundary. They do reach out, Peru Township reaches out across the river, and we're not over there. The city of Peru's not across the river. To be over there, you'd have to have water, sewer. It would turn into something that you'd really have to plan for. And there was an election that there was a question on the ballot. Should they consolidate? Because at that time the state was talking about it, and it looked like they were pushing it at the time for the consolidation. So the voters said yes to talk about it. We did have some talks. The way it needs to work is the township officials and the city officials have to agree 100% on what they want to do and where they want to go with the township government. We didn't have an agreement of 100% at that time. We have not talked about it anymore since then. That's been 3 years, 4 years ago, something in that area now. And they do a wonderful job at what they do. Is there room for consolidation with some of the overlap? There is, but you'd have to figure out how to do it. And then your local representative and your local senator needs to agree, and they need to pass it down in Springfield. And with the passing, they didn't pass a law that blanketed the whole state. They passed a law for City A and Township A, and they passed a law for City B and Township B. They were cherry picking, and it didn't work out. And I don't know of any talks in Springfield at this time that are talking about township consolidations again. So we tried, and it didn't happen 4 years ago.
Mr. Kolowski.
I'll make this brief. The township, the overlap like we're talking about, they do good things. They do a good job. It's been brought to my attention that it's just not worth disbanding. It's not that expensive to continue the way we are. Again, I'm not in the seat right now. I'm not 100% educated on it, but at this time, I don't see any reason why we should disband the township. Now, if something changes down the road, and like he's saying, the council and everybody agrees that something can be consolidated, I'm all for that. I'd be more of a listener in a situation like that. But right now, I don't see any reason to disband it because it's not really costing us anything.
Can you provide examples? This would be for Mr. Kolowski. Can you provide examples of leadership and activities in the community outside of the government realm?
Leadership, basically. You want to know my
Or activities, just other things you've done in the community?
My leadership style is very unique. I believe that listening is the key to anything being successful. If you want to be successful in anything, you need to not attempt to be the smartest person in the room. You got to listen to other people. Surround yourself with talent and let them do their jobs. And then when it goes right, make sure they get the credit. When it goes bad, I take the blame. And I'm more of a pat on the back guy than anything. Let me think here. I'm sorry. Notes. I encourage input. I'm different. I pride myself on communication skills, keeping people informed. As for being around the community, I love going to events. I love going into the schools. Again, we have an Easter egg hunt next Saturday or Sunday. Looking forward to it. Just seeing people, waving to people, talking to people. I'm accessible. That's the other thing. I love it when people come up to me and talk to me in a grocery store, or pull in my driveway, or anything like that. But I love being out without the liquor public and having a good time.
Okay, Mayor Carl?
Okay, the leadership, I'll go with the leadership in City Hall. I've been on different boards. I still serve on the Illinois Municipal League, which there's 1,298 municipalities in the state of Illinois, and there's 35 board members, and you're elected by your peers. And I'm very proud of that. It's a wonderful organization. They do a great job, and I'm very proud to be one of the 35 out of 1,298 municipalities in the state of Illinois. But the leadership, in local government, most things happen with your ideas as the mayor. So if it's a good idea and you present it and it's passed right away, okay, that was a leadership quality. If it doesn't go over too well and you need to talk about it more, you need to make some changes. It's just keeping everybody on a track that you think is the right track and being willing to change your thoughts if it doesn't go that way, if it's not going to be on the right track. You know early on that when you introduce something, you know pretty early on if it's going to fly at some point in time or not. I'm proud to say that in the 12 years that I've been here, I've worked with, we have alderman size is 8. There's 4 wards, 2 per ward, so we have 8 aldermen, and I've worked with 18 different aldermen at this time, and the vast majority, I would say, if you were to crunch the numbers, it would probably be 98 to 99% of our votes are all unanimous votes because I'll say that I have good leadership qualities, and you propose good things, and good things they materialize.
Mayor Harrell, what are your thoughts on building 55+ communities for senior citizens?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
What are your thoughts on building 55+ communities for senior citizens, housing?
Well,
Communities and housing, I guess.
right. Peru was rated the 5th best community to retire in 2 years ago, and all of our senior facilities that are currently in Peru are full. There's waiting lists for all of them. Most of the 55+, the builders build them with tax credits, okay? And we have two more that applied last year, and they were supposed to find out in April. It didn't happen until June or July that they, whether they received their tax credits or not. Peru apparently is a very good spot because it does attract those that want to build senior facilities. They both have submitted their application once again, and we'll see if another one comes. We have the room for them. They're all full, and there's room for more. There's one downtown that they're reapplying, and there's one up north of town off of Wenzel Road that is reapplying again. And like I said, in Peru, we're very fortunate that there's a waiting list in there. They're all full, and because our amenities are all close. You don't have to get in your car and drive 2 miles, 5 miles, 15 miles to be, quite frankly, in Peru, because that's where everybody comes. You can tell by the traffic up at all of the retail area. So the amenities are close, and that's one of the qualifications for your tax credit approval is the amenities that you have close and in the area for the elderly, the 55 plus to enjoy themselves.
Okay. Mr. Kolowski.
Absolutely. As he's saying that the seniors facilities we have now are at full capacity. We definitely could use more senior living areas. The key word though is affordable. Okay, I've talked to the seniors and their payments to live in these facilities are going up substantially. That's where competition does come into play. If we can draw in, like I said, I was at the council meetings when these two proposals have come in. The one downtown is a little tricky. I see the future, but we definitely need it, okay? But it's a matter of coming up with a plan and working with these developers to make it more affordable for these seniors. Again, that's the conversations I've had with the people at the north end and at these senior places. And if we are fortunate enough to have another senior living area come in, that'd be fantastic. And then just, again, make it more affordable for the seniors.
Do you have anything else?
No,
Okay. What are your thoughts? This will be from Mr. Kolowski. What are your thoughts regarding the right of the public to ask questions of elected officials during open meetings?
That is, for my 2.5 years of doing this and attending council meetings, we have a city ordinance that says you can come to a meeting, you're allowed 3 minutes to speak, and we will not answer your questions, and we will not have a dialogue with you. That is a city ordinance. That's gone week 1. I want people to come to the council meeting. I want people to give me a hard time. I want them to express their opinions. I don't want to time people and tell them to sit down, okay? Now, do I want somebody to come to a council meeting and talk about a barking dog for 20 minutes? No, I do not. But I'll take the time and say, listen, we're going to move on. We'll go over here in the community center afterwards, and I'll talk to you as long as you want. That's the biggest thing I've found in the 2.5 years of doing this is people just want to be heard. They want their phone calls returned. They want to be talked to. They want their suggestions heard. But to have that, I said that in my opening, I want the community, I want City Hall to be a welcoming place. I want people to feel comfortable coming there. Disagree with me or pat us on the back. It doesn't matter. It's there. It's your city. Okay. I want the input, but yes, we have to eliminate that city ordinance immediately.
Mayor Hurl?
I have to disagree with that. The ordinance is in place for a reason. When we don't turn anybody away, we ask for public comment at the beginning of the meeting for any agenda items, so you can stand, you can have your public comment on if you think that this is a bad piece of legislation that you don't think should pass. Could you do something different with it? And then we have one at the end of the meeting for you can stand and talk about whatever you want to. Is there time limits? Yes, there's time limits. You have to have rules with anything and everything that you do. It seems as though the public comment, they seem to advance a little bit right around this time. We haven't had it this time because, right around this time, meaning election time. We haven't had it this time because the meetings, we haven't had people come back. Meetings are open. You can come to the meetings right now, but we still haven't had that many in. As far as not answering, once again, when the people get up and they ask questions, usually we know what's happening and why they're up asking questions, and they're loaded questions, quite frankly, and they're trying to make someone look bad or thereabouts. And I can't agree with it. Almost every city that I know of, and mayor that I know, they all have public comment rules in place. You have to have rules and regulations for public. You just can't have people in a public meeting where you're there to do business. You just can't have people getting up and doing whatever it is they want to do, whatever it is they want to say, and disagree with you. There's a time and place for everything. There's the planning and zoning meetings where if you have an issue with a building coming in, a development coming in, that's the place to go and have that. You can have it at the council meeting as well. Like I said, at the beginning of the meeting, you have the public comment where you can get up and you can talk about an agenda item. And like I said already, you can get up and talk about the whatever you want to talk about.
I will add to it.
Okay.
I brought a copy of the ordinance with me. I'm going to read it. Public comment is not intended to require public officials to provide any answer to the speaker. After the speaker has used his or her allotted time or finished making their comment, he or she will be seated with no further debate, dialogue, or comment. So if you come to a meeting and ask a question, you're not entitled to an answer. I don't understand that. And as for other towns, I went to, LaSalle made fun of me. I went to LaSalle council meetings in Oglesby and Spring Valley council meetings for 2.5 years. And it is night and day. In LaSalle, they encourage the people to talk. They want, I've been in Mayor Grove says, anybody got anything tonight? Anybody got anything? He's begging for input. And again, I just find this to be, it's just wrong. And, then people shouldn't have to do so many FOIAs to get the information. Unless it's legal, there's reasons for FOIAs in certain situations. But if you come to City Hall and you have a question, it needs to be answered.
Well, I've got to add this, Mr. Kolowski. I have personally asked you, would you like to get up and make a comment? And every time I have asked you, you've said no. Just like you've said previously that we don't have any involvement with volunteers. There was positions available on the Parks and Recreation for volunteers, and you didn't do it. And this has been in the past 2 years since you've been running for office. Like I said, for the public comment, I have said, Mr. Kolowski, do you have anything to say? And you've said no.
I'll rebuttal that one real quick. That meeting, I do recall that meeting. I never used City Hall. I've been to all these meetings, and I've never spoken in that chamber because of the situation I'm running for. I didn't think it was right for me to go into City Hall and use that for political gain. I was there to learn and listen. And the time that you did call me out, it was, you can go online and watch it. You turned to me and said, do you have anything to say? You're good on your keyboard. Do you have anything to add? It was out of line. It was wrong. I was intimidated by it. Again, it's on tape. You can watch it on the city website if you want. So it wasn't a welcoming thing that they wanted my input. It was more of a negative thing.
Okay, we're getting very close to the end, so I want to get another question in. There's a couple of different questions about improving older parts of town. One of them is on the state of Peru's older residential neighborhoods, and the other is on rehabbing our waterfront, cleaning up a local business on the waterfront. Could you each, and starts with Mayor Harrell, talk about whether you have any plans to improve those areas? And if so, how would you pay for it?
First of all, the waterfront. When I was first running for office, I ran in 2005 unsuccessful. I ran again in 2009 successful. And I talked about the waterfront. Since I've been in office, with the multiple 100-year floods that we've had, the Corps of Engineers has taken over Water Street. We are not allowed to issue any permits on Water Street. Basically, any expansion on Water Street for anything you might want is subject to approval by the Corps of Engineers. For instance, if you're going to put up a building, and if they say you can put up a building, it'll be on stilts. So it'll be above the water level, the flood level. We are in the process of engineering, and we will be moving one of our 3 substations up to I'll say high ground, to dry ground, and at a cost of around probably $8 to $10 million, depending on what it is when it's time to do it. So the waterfront's a difficult one. As far as improving the old parts of town, we're working everywhere in the city of Peru to improve the city of Peru. Last year, at the end of the year, you know, we did $200 and some thousand at the very end of the year in some curbs and some sidewalks to residents for a cleanup list type of thing. You know, I've asked the aldermen to try and go at $25,000 for their wards and put a list together, and we'll earmark $100,000 for it to do your sidewalks and your curbs and the things that your residents are asking for. And we did that last year. Actually, we did it last year to the tune of $250,000 at the end of the year. And nobody is being overlooked. Everybody's receiving something. So we'll be there. You know, we have our new road program, our pavement surface evaluation and rating. Our city engineers went to school. It was by the University of Wisconsin, Madison, for this. In the town, we know 5 years out what roads we're going to do, what underground we're going to do, what above ground we're going to do, what sidewalks we're going to do. We know that 5 years out. But there's changes. You regroup and there's changes. So we're hitting every part of town. No, there's no piece of town that's being neglected.
Mr. Kolowski.
The Water Street Riverfront, I definitely have an outlook and a vision for that. It can be a destination. We have a small business down there that is striving and trying to build their business up down there. Every 4th of July, we go down there and it's just the gravel, and it doesn't look appealing. I envision a big mural, a painted mural on the big wall. I see shelters with, you know, kind of like a park plaza kind of a thing. Make it so somebody can go down there and enjoy. He's right, we can't build down there, but we can put a plaza in there. We can clean it up. I would work with the business owner that's right next to it. They proposed now they would like to do sand volleyball. Again, thinking outside the box where I'm different. Would they be willing to take it over themselves? We've done that with other businesses. Dollar General, we gave them the land for $1 to build. That's wonderful. Do the same thing with these guys. Maybe he would like to develop that into making his business better. And then you have to have language in there that the public can still use it. But to clean that area up would be, it would be so nice for 4th of July festivals, things like that. But I've got a whole list of other things I'd like to see done with that. And as for taking care of all the areas of town, I kind of disagree. There's areas in town that are not so much taken care of as they should be. We mentioned parks earlier. We have some really wonderful parks. Centennial Park is probably one of the best parks in town, without a doubt. But McKinley and Sunset, they need some serious attention. And so it's a delicate balance, and I respect what he's saying, but it just seems, the question seems to be, there are areas of town that should get a little bit more attention than they deserve. That makes sense?
Mr. Mayor Howard?
Well, McKinley Park, we put in a new $150,000 restroom and concession stand 2 years ago. McKinley's not being forgotten. None of the parks are being forgotten. Some parks are nicer than others, but some of the parks, none of them are forgotten. I don't think that's a good statement. But it's funny you should mention the mural on the wall. We've been in talks with 3 different people here just in the past 3 weeks about murals on the side of buildings. We'll be asking for permission from the building owners if they would would like a mural on their building. And I've been talking about a mural on the wall down on Water Street for quite some time. And once again, you talk about building pavilions and plaza, you can't do that. You know, we tore down the former power plant down on Water Street 8-10 years ago. And there's a park area there. It's green grass. Anybody can go enjoy it. It's up above flood level. You never see anybody there. So people congregate in certain places and people don't. So parks are there.
Okay. Anything else? We'll move on. Okay, the Illinois Valley is interconnected with many municipalities, making a single community. Do you think that we need to make any improvements in cooperation, operation, assistance to LaSalle and nearby communities? That would be Mr. Kolowski.
Absolutely. We share a border with LaSalle, and our relationship with LaSalle has to improve. We have to get on the same page. We have to communicate better. We are currently doing these Music in the Parks right now. They're fantastic, great event. But you need to communicate with LaSalle to say, when are you doing your scheduling for your concerts up at Math, or what is that called there? At the mansion, okay? We don't want to be doing a concert the same night as they are, okay? I've had conversations with Mayor Grove. He agrees. 2.1 million people went through Starved Rock last year. We got to find a way to get them over here. Whether it comes shop downtown, or you can't get a hotel, you come to our hotel and then go shopping downtown. You can't overlap like Easter egg hunts. You gotta communicate better. We share a high school together. I believe we need to work a lot harder, and I'm looking forward to stealing a lot of Mayor Grove's ideas that he's implemented over the last 10 years. But yes, I definitely want to work harder with the staff.
Mayor Harrell?
I don't see where there's an absence of cooperation. You know, I talk with LaSalle now that we have our Parks and Recreation Director, and LaSalle has a Parks and Recreation together. They talk regularly. They've been talking about LP wants to have a form of a homecoming parade this spring. And our Parks and Recreation person, and like I said, LaSalle's, they're currently working on it. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it in cooperation with the city of LaSalle? Where are we going to do it at? What's it going to look like? You know, there's a lot to it because you have to abide by the pandemic rules and where they're at the time. Nobody knows where the rules will be at the time. We are working together, but at the same time, the cities are also in competition for the same thing, the same business, the same people. And there are many. You have the Starved Rock Alliance that is trying to draw people out of Starved Rock and draw them into our towns, into Peru, into LaSalle, you know, more of them into Utica and so on, into Oglesby. Everybody's trying to do the same thing, and we're all on the same page. It's difficult to show a person where they need to be, meaning they need to be in Peru after they leave Starved Rock, because many of them, I'm sure coming from the city, they know one thing where their Google Maps tell them. So you have to figure out how to get on their Google Maps so that you come to Peru, you come to LaSalle, you come to Oglesby, you come to these places also. It's difficult, but everybody's working on the same thing. So it's nothing new. There's nobody sitting up here today that has a new idea. There's nothing new. We're all working on it. We all have been, and we all will continue to work on it to draw in those people.
I rebuttal that. I had the same conversation with Mr. Grove, and we talked about it and how we're competing. It's kind of like Major League Baseball. You have the Cubs and the Sox. They're competing to beat each other, but they are Major League Baseball. If LaSalle can improve their city and bring people in, they're going to come over to ours, and vice versa. They stay at our hotel, they go shopping downtown LaSalle. Work together, figure out how we can both benefit. Still got to compete. They want the restaurant, they want it, sure, but we have to come together because we are the Illinois Valley. And I'm just like to add that.
Before we go to your closing comments, I want to throw out one that's just, I'd like each of you to try to be very specific about what you think your differences are here. in terms of what you really want to see for Peru. Mayor Harlan.
The differences that the candidates have?
Yes.
Well, I really don't know what's on his mind. Most of what I hear, you're already trying it, you're already doing it, has it come to fruition? Much of it hasn't come to fruition. Has quite a bit come to fruition? Absolutely. But nobody's reinventing the wheel. Everybody's always out trying to do the same thing for their city. And some are more successful than others and some aren't. I think that we've done a very good job in Peru during my tenure here. And Peru has grown. Mr. Kolowski even mentioned it. When I came in, we were bringing in $540 million of tax dollars, sales tax dollars. Now we're up over 620 to 630. See, that's growth. You have been successful in growing. Every surrounding community is trying to do the same thing, and we've been pretty successful at it. Is our mold a little bit different? Sure, it's a little bit different. When the stores come in, where do they want to be? They want to be where the people are. And if the people aren't downtown, they want to be somewhere else. Other towns have done a good job, and some towns, all they have is downtown. So that's where the people are. We're lucky in Peru. If you go to the north end and come down here, it's what, 4 miles, from the north end where the retail stores are to downtown. So everybody's after it for the same thing. Some people are more successful than others, and we're all just trying to do the best we can for our city.
Mr. Kolowski, what differences do you see as most important between the two of you?
Number one is accessibility and approachability. You can approach me. You see me in a store, you can come up to me. You can pull in my driveway. You can call me. I return calls. I answer my phone. I'll return emails. I want to listen. It's a big part of it. One of the things I've recognized most in Peru, if you're asking me what's the most valuable thing we have going, it's the people. It's the voters. It's the people that work and make their small businesses work. The people that work 8 days a week in retail. I mean, it's incredible. And you have to support their wishes. Like I said, I'm approachable. I mean, I'm honored. People come to my house and want a sign in their yard. I don't even know them, and they knock on my door. They feel comfortable coming up to me and talking to me because I'm like them. I'm not a politician. I'm just a regular kid from Peru that wants to see our city succeed.
Okay, let's move on now to the 5-minute closing comments. And I guess since we started with you, Mayor Harrell, we'll start with Mr. Kolowski this time.
First, thank you. I was a little nervous going into this. It's probably been since 7th grade since I've done something like this. Thank you to the library and everybody that's tuned in today. This 2.5-year adventure that I've been on, it's been absolutely amazing. The people that I've met, the people I've talked to, going out and getting all 220 signatures, it's humbling. It's hard to put into words how much I've enjoyed this process. I know more people now in my life, and I have more friends in my life because of this adventure that I've decided to take on. I told you guys that 3,683 votes is the all-time record for votes cast in the city of Peru. I want that record. If I can get 3,684 people to vote in this election, win or lose, I was successful. I'll tip my hat, wish him well. We'll still disagree on things, but that's my goal. I want you guys to be interested and care about which way we're going. Disagreeing with each other is healthy. It's a good thing. But I just want to thank everybody that is giving me the time and how much I've learned over the last 2.5 years. And I look forward to doing the best I can. I'm going to give you everything I got. And I'll throw one more thing into it. The big thing is term limits. I made a video the other day, and I believe in term limits. Whether we put legislation in there or not,
The most I would do is 8 years. I mean, that's 10% of your life if you live to be 80. So I focus on the 4 that are in front of me. Yeah, we have to look to the future. We have to be prepared for the future. But I'm going to be the same guy the first week as at the last week. I'm going to give you everything I have, listen to you, and all make Peru even a better place than it already is. But again, I thank you, thank the library, and thank you to everybody that took the time to listen to Scott and I talk about our differences.
Okay, I too will thank the library, Charm, and our staff, and League of Women Voters, Laurie. Thank you for everything you've done here and for taking the time to come up from your home south of us. So in closing, I have been your mayor since 2009, and I am deeply humbled by the honor you have bestowed upon me these past 12 years. Over these past 12 years, we have accomplished much for our city. I was lucky enough to follow a very good foundation created by my predecessor, Mayor Donald Baker. With the bar set high, I have also had the good fortune to have been surrounded by some very talented and dedicated aldermen and other elected officials, as well as a very committed group of city employees. That recipe, combined with such a great group of Peru residents, has made my job working for you an absolute joy. Thank you to all. Having been blessed with a great career and a loving family, I ran for office because I wanted to serve my community and give something back to the city that was so good to me and the entire Harrell family. I will campaign on a record of accomplishments, including infrastructure, road repairs, installing new water and sewer lines, the building of a state-of-the-art splash pad, and this year we had a new hockey rink, expansion and upgrades of our parks, a donated band shell to be built early in second quarter 2021, and the start of our downtown beautification. We also continue to upgrade our fire department equipment, and we had a construction of an overdue public works facility and now a modern day public safety building for our police officers, the men and women who wear the blue in Peru. I must mention, we now have 4 female police officers and 2 female firefighters. I will campaign on my record knowing we have done so much and maintained the lowest combined tax rate in LaSalle County. Take a drive around our beautiful and prospering city and be proud that together we are making our city better and will continue our progress. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote on April 6, 2021.
Well, I want to thank you both for this excellent forum and remind everyone listening that Election Day is April 6th. And Sean, do you want to mention something about early voting?
Yes, just as a reminder, early voting has actually started. You can go, in our case, to LaSalle County, the county courthouse, to go in to vote if you wish. You can also contact the county courthouse, the LaSalle County Courthouse, and ask to have a ballot mailed to you. I did that for the November election, so it was really nice. I could get that done, put it in the mail, and away I went. As a little background or an aside, we have had, between the Zoom and Facebook, we've had over 160 people watching today. Thank you very, very much. We will also have this archived, the Zoom meeting archived on our Peru YouTube channel, and as well as on Facebook. Give us a little bit of time. We won't have it up in the next half hour, but within a day or so, it'll be up and ready for everybody. And also a note on the questions. We received quite a few questions, and we did our best to combine them into the similar ones into one question. Obviously, we had a number of questions on the pool, on Water Street, and actually, I think only one question on the pandemic. So what that came in through chat and what came in on the cards here in the library and were emailed in, again, if your exact question wasn't asked, it's because we can read it with another one. I don't have anything else. Laura, do you have anything else?
Nope, all done.
Okay, thank you guys very, very much.
And that's a wrap.